the Expropriation Act of 2024, unpacking the implications for South Africans. South Africa's newly signed Expropriation Act of 2024 has stirred significant debate among experts, policymakers, and the public. Advocated by Thembeka Nkukaitobi SC as a redress for past land injustices, this legislation has broader implications that may affect all citizens regardless of their heritage. According to Nkukaitobi, the act is intended to correct historical inequalities in land ownership, a legacy of the colonial and apartheid eras. However, critics argue that its broad scope, which extends beyond just land to other forms of property, could undermine the fundamental principle of property rights in South Africa. President Cyril Ramaphosa and the African National Congress, ANC, suggest that the act targets the uncompensated confiscation of commercial farms, predominantly owned by the Afrikaner community, to accelerate land reform. This interpretation has caused unrest among many, including international observers like former U.S. President Donald Trump, who inaccurately narrowed the act's impact to ethnic Afrikaners. A closer look at the Act's provisions reveals a concerning flexibility in compensation methods. Although compensation is promised under specified circumstances, there is a real risk that in many cases, compensation might not align with market values. This potentially leaves room for compensation at levels as low as 50% of the property's market value, or even zero compensation under certain conditions, which contradicts the constitutional requirement for just and equitable compensation. The issue goes beyond financial compensation. The act could deter both local and foreign investments at a time when South Africa is desperate for economic growth and job creation. Investors generally seek stability and predictable legal environments, attributes currently at risk under the new legislation. Furthermore, the Act skirts the requirement of prior court validation for expropriations. This could lead to infringement on constitutional rights, such as equality, human dignity, and property rights, unless expropriations are confirmed as necessary for public interest and preceded by a court order, as mandated by the Bill of Rights. Critics like Nkukaitobi defend the Act as a means to advance social justice. However, historical evidence from other African nations suggests such laws often facilitate wealth concentration among new elites rather than broader societal enrichment. This poses a significant risk of repeating a cycle of dispossession within South Africa. By potentially diverging from the Constitution, the Expropriation Act of 2024 positions itself as a controversial pivot point in South Africa's ongoing struggle with land reform and social equity. It raises fundamental questions about balancing redress and rights, and whether it can truly achieve its intended goals without infringing on the very foundations of justice it seeks to uphold. Thank you for choosing Satori News.